This mega Cardinals Week 15 recap, a Ravens Week 16 preview episode of the Oranges, Orange and Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, is brought to you by our presenting sponsors, Aligned Health Center and The Place. Aligned Health Center is the first chiropractic biophysics clinic in Northern Ohio, serving patients in the Westlake and Beechwood, Ohio areas. The team at Aligned Health Center helps patients with back pain, neck pain, migraines, ADHD, digestive issues, sleep disturbance, whiplash, scoliosis, and much more. The mission at Aligned Health Center is simple: to help people in the Westlake and Beechwood areas achieve the best possible health and overall wellness. Call Aligned Health Center today at 440-230-6865 or visit the website at alignedhealthcenters.com to make an appointment and to learn more about how Aligned Health Center can help you with any of the symptoms we discussed just a second ago. Again, that's 440-230-6865 or visit their website at alignedhealthcenters.com. This episode was also brought to you by The Place. The Place is the place for all of your hot tub, spa, fireplace, and outdoor grill needs. The Place has been in business for 52 years, all family owned and operated. We are a full-service fireplace and spa superstore. We have over a 16,000 square foot showroom with over 40 live burning fireplaces and over 40 hot tubs and swim spas on display. They've been voted North America's #1 service center by Coast Spas 2 of the last 4 years. Visit The Place on 2377 Medina Road today. Look for the palm trees to transform your backyard into the backyard of your dreams. When you think of fireplaces, hot tubs, grills, and patios, think The Place. In this episode, Jeremy and I recap the embarrassment from last Sunday against the Cardinals. We talk about Chubbs' dominance in spite of the dumpster fire around him, Baker, and Freddi's inability to do really just anything right. We then jump to a Ravens preview looking at the tale of two teams on very different trajectories. We talk about Browns' playoff chances and scenarios, and somehow, some way, we still have hope. I don't get it. Doesn't make sense, but there is a chance. We talk about Baker's presence after the games, Lamar's dominance. We look at and project Sunday's potential outcomes. I'm feeling more optimistic regarding the game than Jeremy. Jeremy, not so much. We will see what happens, but regardless, Jeremy and I here at the Oranges Oranger and everyone at the Press Play Podcast Network wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. Listen, sports are temporary. Family and relationships are what last. Make the most of them this holiday season. Be present with the people you love and care about the most. Try not to be distracted on your phone or anything else, and truly engage in conversation and quality time with those in your life. Make memories, share love. Merry Christmas, fam. Jim Donovan, take us away.
45-40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs! Snap back, ball down, can't block! They blocked the kick!
This is the Oranges, Orange Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I am your host, Chase Smith, and with me, as always, Browns insider Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas. What is up?
Not a whole lot. You guys ready for the holiday?
I am ready. And ready to roll. I bought almost every present that I'm buying. I just got a couple little things to get. I'm excited for the holidays. And guess what?
I give up.
Now hear me out. The Browns are not eliminated from the playoffs.
Oh my!
Do you want to hear this?
No.
Do you want to hear the scenarios of which the Browns go to the playoffs? The ironic thing is, Chase, the most unlikely thing that needs to happen is for us to beat the Ravens.
I mean, what is it? The Titans and Steelers lose out and we win out. That's pretty much summed it up.
Yeah, and I mean, the Titans play the Saints and the Texans, and the Steelers play at New York this week, the Jets, which they may not win that game because Duck is awful. He just made us look awful because we're awful. And then if we were to beat the Ravens, the Ravens would have something to play for Week 17 against the Steelers. However, the odds of us beating the Ravens this week, not good, my friend. Not good.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's get things started with 5 Hot Minutes with Jeremy Powell, presented by our good friends at Online Motor Credit. Jeremy, go.
Yeah, so I was just as disappointed as everybody, obviously. I mean, the effort in that game Sunday was just sad. I mean, I know I guaranteed a win, and I'll take it. You know, they didn't win. They didn't play well, but it was the defense. It was the effort that, where I thought the Browns in a game that still mattered, and now as you see, everything fell to where if we would have won that game, we'd be sitting really nice to go to the playoffs. I thought for sure the Browns would come out, be professionals, and play hard, and it didn't happen. And I think what has happened to the Browns is some decisions by John Dorsey to not give certain guys contract has cost them at the end of this year. Demarius Randall clearly did not try in that game. Okay, I've been a Demarius Randall fan. We've talked about it on here. I think he is an excellent player. If you watch that game and then went back and rewatched it, Demarius Randall was not trying to play football. He did not want to be there. He is going through the motions to get through the season, to get a contract next year, probably just trying not to get hurt and get paid by someone else. Little does Demarius know, this is going to crush him, okay? There's no way he's making $9 million this year in the last year of his deal. The way he's playing right now, there is zero chance anybody is giving him anywhere close to $9 million to play football next year. All he's doing is hurting his cause. Even my guy, Joe Schobert, who I love, who I've talked about forever, looked to me as if the effort was not there as it usually is for Joe. And some of this stuff is that thing of not having a contract going into this year. That's why a lot of GMs avoid this situation altogether with guys that are going into the last year, because this kind of stuff can happen at the end of the season. Guys start thinking about themselves over the team, because I think that's kind of a natural thing to do. We've already seen some weird incidents with Demarius Randall. At this point, the Browns probably would be better off just to move on from Demarius. Cut him, sit him, make him inactive, find a phantom injury, sit him down. The effort I saw, especially on the 45-yard run by Kyler Murray, was disgusting. I don't know if you picked up on this, Chase. That was a disgusting effort. My other problem with this game, my big problem with this game, was I tweeted and I sent a post out on Facebook about this, is we waited too long to get that run game going. Why would you not come out the first series and attempt to run it down their throat? Why? You see what happened. Then the next thing you know, we're down 14-0. And to Freddi's credit, they stuck with the run game. And what happened? We marched right down the field, exactly like in the Cincinnati game, on a drive where all we did was run the ball and score a touchdown. For the life of me, I will never understand why you do not come out of the gate running the ball at a team you know you're going to be able to run it all, to establish that dominance early, get to the second half where those guys are not going to want to tackle Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. They just don't do it. It's so blatantly obvious to everybody who's watching the game. Pound it at these guys and they'll quit. They didn't have anything to play for. What did the Cardinals have to play for? Nothing. They had lost 6 in a row. The season was over. Everybody knew it. They had nothing to play for. Go out, shove it down their throats, get the lead, make them want to quit. Chase, I do not for the life of me understand Freddi's concept and idea behind the offense. It's almost to me as if some of the stuff that Bob Wiley, I know you hate Bob Wiley, but some of the stuff he said about Ken Zampese being the real architect of the offense the last 8 weeks of last year was actually true. It feels to me like Freddi is a good positions coach, a guy who knows football, a guy who gets along with people, but this is the first time literally in his career he has had to be the architect of an offense from the beginning to end. Just today, Todd Monken, who I am 100% convinced now, Todd Monken and Freddie Kitchens do not like each other and do not work well together. Just 15 minutes ago in his press conference, Todd Monken said he is upset about the fact that we don't get the plays into Baker on time. And a lot of time that's why we're scrambling at the last second, because we're not getting the plays in fast enough. That is strictly a Freddie Kitchens problem. Freddi is calling the plays. Freddi is getting the plays into Baker. How can Freddi this late in the season still have trouble getting the plays into Baker? And then Todd said that was part of the reason a lot of times it looked like we're scrambling to get the snap off right at 1 second or calling timeouts. Like this week, we called a timeout off of a turnover. We called a timeout off of a timeout, because the play clock ran down. It's crazy. This kind of stuff should not be happening this far into the season. I think there is serious dysfunction with Freddie Kitchens, Todd Monken, and the offense, and I think it stems from the fact that Freddie Kitchens, while a great position coach and a guy who's been around, was not ready to be the architect of his own offense.
Oh, geez. I don't think – I want to touch on a couple of those points, man. I don't think you can point to Dorsey for not addressing the Demarius Randall situation and the Joe Schobert situation. That's not the main team issue here. The main team issue here is Freddie Kitchens. And if that is true – now, to Freddie Kitchens' credit – now hear me out. To Freddie Kitchens' credit, he would have never said anything like that, throwing Monken under the bus. Monken right there, and I think he's done this a couple times this year, has, with no regard for Freddie Kitchens' life, said things in a presser or done things that made Freddie look bad. Freddie has never, in any presser all year, whether it's with Higgins, whether it's with Randall, whether it's with anyone, he's never made anyone else look bad. Agreed?
Yeah.
So for Monken to do that, obviously shows dysfunction there. But if that is true, if we are not getting plays into Baker, in time for him to make a read, even time for him to call audibles, then my recommendation of firing Freddi after New England is gives even more credence. That's Dorsey's main issue this year is forget about the players. Dude, why is Freddi still calling plays and coaching the team?
I think Dorsey did a poor job of heading off some of these issues, like the contract for Randall, like the contract for Schobert. Look, I understand. I still think Schobert's a good player. I understand them not wanting to pay him $35 million over 3 years. I get that. They don't think he's fast enough to run with Lamar Jackson and something he's going to have to do twice a year for here on out. And it's a copycat league. I'm sure some other teams now will go to running quarterbacks. You're going to need a fast middle linebacker. I understand that. I understand the Randall thing. But these are – and I don't know what I would do about it, but these are things that NFL GM has to deal with. And Demarius Randall had a history when we traded for him of being this malcontent guy, right?
Yeah.
And that was part of the reason Green Bay let him go. So Dorsey, I guess he probably didn't anticipate this becoming the big problem it has. But, I mean, that's the job of an NFL GM, to anticipate these things and get out in front of them. And he didn't do that with him. So that's something, and that was remember when we got him, that was part of the issue with Dorsey that they talked about in KC was he was not great at those kind of things. Given, the contract issue stuff, communication between the head coach and him they said was poor with him and Andy Reid, stuff like that. So some of the things that we heard about Dorsey that we ignored because we liked the talent he was bringing in are starting to rear their ugly heads. And where he goes from here we'll find out whether we can be successful or not. As far as Freddi goes, I think you're right. Look, I was probably wrong early on. Freddi it's not in him. And he's probably going to be back. Let's be honest. We hope he's not going to be back. I hope he isn't, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be one bit surprised even if they lose these last 2 games if Freddie Kitchens is back. And to me, it's going to be a huge mistake because if he is not able to construct an NFL offense right now, and you see all the stories about how much better the Browns are in heavy formations as opposed to 3 receiver formations, yet we keep running the 3 receivers over the heavy, over the 2 tight end sets. We keep running them over and over, 60, 70% of the time, when the 30% of the time we are in heavy formations, the run game is better, the passing game is better. It just doesn't make sense to me, Chase. It doesn't make sense except there's only one answer, and that's that Freddi, it really is incompetent and that you were right all along.
I just think he's a terrible coach. In-game decisions, obviously offensive strategy, are not his strong suits. And to have him be the driving force of this team with a franchise quarterback, with 2 franchise wide receivers, with 2 franchise running backs, I mean, on paper, one of the best offenses in the league. And for us to be 17th in the league, in the league in offense is Jeremy, it's not going to cut it. I know they said barring a horrific, how do they word it? Barring a horrendous end of the year, he's going to be back. And we talked about that on our pod a couple weeks ago. Do not be surprised if Dorsey brings him back. What is horrendous? What is a horrific end of the season? You don't think losing all 3 is a horrific end?
I mean, I do, but I don't know what they see as a horrific end to the season. I mean, I think getting embarrassed like that in Arizona to a bad football team that had lost 6 in a row when your defense quit, I mean, to me, that's the start of a horrendous end. Now, we'll have to see what happens this week, but I'm sure, A, the Ravens could clinch home field advantage this week with a win. B, they're going to be avenging their last loss. They've won 10 in a row since we beat them. The Ravens have a lot to play for this week. And if our defense comes out and decides they don't want to play, it's going to be really ugly early. I've watched a couple Ravens games in the last month where they scored on their first 5 and 6 possessions. If the Browns don't come out ready to play and they're doing this half-fast lollygag thing, the Ravens are going to run it right down our throat. Hey, you know what Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram are going to do to us if we come out looking like we did against Arizona? They're going to run it down our throat. So maybe you're right. If we go out and get outscored get beat at home by 35-40 after the Arizona effort, and then we go into Cincinnati and lose, the natives are going to be restless. They're going to be calling for Freddi's head. It's going to be an ugly, ugly, ugly offseason for the Browns if we take a whooping this week and lose in Cincinnati next week. And maybe at that point, Jimmy will step in and say, look, we can't have this offseason. We got new uniforms coming out. We got all this stuff happening. It's going to leave everybody with a horrific taste in their mouth if they keep Freddi, if we do get hammered these last 3 weeks.
I think it'll only be ugly offseason if Freddi's retained and we have a terrible end.
That's what I mean. That's where the pressure will come in. They've got stuff planned this offseason. They might be making a big stadium announcement, right? They might be making, they're going to be unveiling new uniforms. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that is happening this offseason. They've got stuff happening this offseason. If we get embarrassed these last 2 weeks like we just got embarrassed in Arizona, the pressure is going to be on Dorsey to make a move, and it's going to come from Jimmy. Jimmy's only going to sit back for so long and, be embarrassed. So we'll see what happens.
Browns 28, Arizona 34, Cardinals 444 total yards of offense, just completely did whatever the freak they wanted to against us. In a game where, once again, our season was in the balance, the most important drive, the most important away game. We've heard that 4 or 5 times this year. The Browns come out and fall flat on their face. We had 0 sacks. 0 sacks, not surprising considering Olivier Vernon and Myles Garrett are both out. But you expect at least something.
There was a couple times where it was so frustrating. Like our boy Mac Wilson had Kyler Murray dead to rights, and Kyler made a little move and embarrassed him. We had a couple blitzes where he had 3 runners and they couldn't bring him down. That kind of stuff just bothers me, man. It was just – and you're right, we didn't have Olivier Vernon. Chad Thomas got handled. So it was a rough day. No, he could sit back there, dance around, move around, give guys time to get open. I'm not going to blame Denzel Ward and those guys. I mean, when you have all day to throw, that's going to happen. But it was just a lack of effort that was the thing that was just killed you.
Yeah. Well, that does it for 5 hot minutes with the Jeremy Powell, presented by our good friends at Online Motor Credit. Online Motor Credit is a family-owned and operated business, the area's first zero-interest in-house financing, which offers 0 interest in-house financing because they understand life happens. Your furnace goes out. Your fridge goes out. You realize that you have a water leak. You got to redo some plumbing. They understand and they want to help. Normally when it rains, it pours. And around this time is when you need a new car as well. Providing good cars to good people at great prices is their motto. They provide a full-service garage with certified techs on hand every single day, from brakes, tune-ups, and suspension work to air conditioning service and much more. Online Motor Credit provides good work at great prices. Located in Ravenna, Ohio this NFL season, make Online Motor Credit your first down stop in car shopping. Visit their website at onlinemotorcars.net. And if you use promo code ORANGE19 at checkout, you'll receive 10% off a brake job or any other service work. Also, mentioning ORANGE19 during the purchase of a car receives a free oil change for a year. Just remember the promo code ORANGE19. Online Motor Credit, providing cars to good people at great prices. Jay, were there any silver linings for our loss in Arizona?
Man, you'd be Nick Chubb. I mean, as always, over the last 2 weeks, Nick Chubb has only 32 carries over the last 2 games. You know what his average per carry is?
It's like 7 something.
7.3 yards over 2 games in the NFL. I mean, that's ridiculous. He should have about 45 carries instead of 32 in those 2 games. And who knows, where we'd be if he did. But Nick Chubb, just a consummate pro. What's he do after he scores a touchdown? Flips the ball to the ref. You don't see him getting in people's faces. You don't see him talking. He leads by example. He goes out and does it every week. Him and Hunt are the unquestioned leaders of this offense, in my opinion. Next year, the offense should be built around those two. Nick Chubb, once again, the silver lining, week in, week out, leading the league in rushing. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that he's now the second Brown in history to go over 1,400 yards in a season. The other guy, you ever heard of him? A guy named Jim Brown?
Yeah,
he's the only other Brown. He's the only other Brown to ever go over 1,400. He did it 6 times. Nick Chubb, just an absolutely fantastic talent. If the Browns aren't stupid and give him the ball plenty the next 2 weeks, he's going to win a rushing title. First Browns rushing title since the same period. He's a starter in the Pro Bowl. Congratulations. He absolutely deserved that. So just Nick Chubb. Again, you could do this. This is like redundant. You could do this almost every week. Nick Chubb, the silver lining, the only silver lining.
So, yeah, I want to talk about Nick Chubb just for a moment, Jeremy, because a lot of times when Baker's a quarterback, sometimes the topic of conversation is their offensive line and how good or how really bad they are and how much time Baker doesn't have. Can our line be that bad if Nick Chubb is leading the league in rushing? And and
it's funny that you should say that.
Has such a large average. Like, where's the disconnect? Because that on paper looks like, well, man, must have a good offensive line.
And you know what's funny? Someone actually shared a little video of some of his runs this week. I wish I could give someone credit because I can't remember. And it showed like Greg Robinson and
completely whiffing on
blocks. And Nick Chubb, who almost never gets brought down by one guy, breaking tackles, running by those guys. On one of his long runs, literally Greg Robinson completely whiffed. Did not even touch the guy. Came right at Chubb. Chubb bounced off him, cut it outside, and boom, he's down. I mean, I guess you could say they cannot be there. Somebody's blocking, but it isn't a great blocking line by grades. PFF, I think only Treader is the only one that's graded as like an above average player right now. So, I mean, I think it's just Nick Chubb is that good. I think Nick Chubb, we might have overlooked the fact that, everyone talked about, including myself, that Saquon Barkley was a generational talent. Maybe Nick Chubb was a generational talent in that draft, the guy who could overcome, adversity and overcome poor line play and overcome a bad team and bad coaching and still be great. Maybe Nick Chubb was that generational player in that draft and we just missed it.
Do you think all of the pass plays, the pass plays that Freddi calls opens up the defense for runs like this? I mean, could that be a compliment?
I just think he's that good.
I'm just looking for something here because obviously Chubb is one of our best players.
I mean, yeah, obviously if teams are going to focus on, like Mike Tomlin said, like we talked about, that you have to pick something to try and stop, and maybe they're trying to stop, but I don't know. I mean, you'd think at this point Nick Chubb would be the focal point of the other defense, right? I mean, if week after week after week, he just keeps doing it. Only player in the NFL to have more than 75 yards from scrimmage every game this year.
They're saying, let Chubb get his 100 yards. They're still going to lose. Like that could be the poison. That could be.
I just think there's more. I think there's more nuance in that. I mean, because like we've talked about, you see guys open. You saw on the key third down play, Odell Beckham Jr. open. And
but
Baker had predetermined
Landry after he decided to throw it to Landry.
No, see, that's wrong. The person who broke that tape down has no idea what they're talking about. Odell Beckham Jr. was open. He was open. Period. They did not break it. Baker was rolling. I actually freeze framed it down before Baker even pulled the ball back. The slot corner had jumped Landry's route because they probably had seen it on tape that Baker is going to throw that out to Landry on 3rd and short. They're playing at the sticks. Peterson and I don't remember who it was, a slot corner, jumped the route, and Odell was wide open. And Odell was wide open. Yeah. And at every level, starting at youth level, you run a play that floods the zone where you have guys at 3 levels on the same side of the field. So the quarterback is forcing the defense to make a decision. If they jump the middle route, the short route, you throw to the middle route. Both guys jump, are covered in the middle and short, you have the deep route. That's why you do that. That's the point of that. You can't predetermine a read on that play because you're giving the defense options to pick who they're going to cover in that zone. You understand what I'm saying? And they picked to jump Jarvis's route, and Odell was open. But Baker had decided before the fact that he was going to throw to Jarvis. And that was probably something that the Cardinals had picked up on tape. So they were just sitting at the sticks waiting. It's one of those things where Baker needs to get better. There's probably some coaching involved, and there's probably some timing with the receivers still, which is mind-numbing. 17 weeks in, we're still talking about this. But
I think Patrick Peterson listened to our podcast because you said he was washed and lost his step. I mean, he was everywhere in the game.
I don't even know. I actually disagree on that because the interception, another one, that's a ball that sailed on Baker probably because he's a little undersized and because Odell was open on that one. Odell had him beat inside. That pass sailed over his head. That's how Peterson made that play. Is if Baker puts that on Odell's chest, that's a touchdown because he's inside. You know what I mean? If you remember the play, Peterson is behind Odell. Baker sails the throw down at the goal line.
It's a great catch by Peterson, man.
It was a great catch. I'll give him that. But if Baker puts that in Odell Beckham's chest, that's a touchdown. It's
Cardinals
just a throw sailed on him.
Said they knew exactly what plays we were going to run.
I've heard that. We've heard that a lot.
8 or 11 plays that we run.
How many times have we heard that this year?
Yeah.
We've heard that multiple times. And you know what's funny? It's kind of funny that we were talking about Patrick Peterson being washed. Did you hear the announcers actually said that Peterson was upset because people were saying he was washed up?
Everyone's listening to the Orange is Oranger. Everyone's listening. Everyone's listening.
Yeah, I don't think that's us. I think that's pretty well known. And he's probably still got a little something left in the tank. That's probably not fair of me to say. But on that interception in the end zone, that was a poor throw by Baker, the reason that happened.
All right, Jay, game balls. Who we any give out? You can't give one to Chubb. Chubb's received his max game balls this year.
Well, who are you going to give one to?
I don't know.
Siebert? No, he missed a kick too.
Would you have gone for it there? Would you have gone for it?
You want the truth? No, I wouldn't have went for it. I wouldn't have went for it. I would have kicked it because that's a 45-yarder in Arizona, climate-controlled environment.
I agree.
You're going to need 2 scores. I kick it. I think he did the right thing. You expect your kicker to hit that in that environment, and you're going to need a touchdown and a field goal anyway, a 2-point conversion. So I think they made the right call.
can I flip it? Can I take the devil's advocate on that one?
Sure.
Season's on the line. If he misses it, it's over, and there go your playoffs again for like the third time this season. For some reason, we can't eliminate ourselves. I don't know why, but no, season's on the line. If he misses, it's over. You want to put your coaching future and season in the foot of a rookie kicker who at preseason was. I'm just saying, like, yeah, football wise, it's the right call. We have time. It makes it a 1-score game. Yeah, that's the right call. But if that really is going to be the game, why I would not have put it. That's not who I want all my season to be riding on. I know that's the role of a kicker, but I just think that's a narrative that you could have taken there. Maybe
I agree. I agree with your thought. I agree, and I'm sure that's why. Well, I think actually didn't Jarvis say he was upset because that was only the second time he touched the ball since the first half on that play, and he didn't. I don't think he liked the play call there. Because that was the play where he got tackled on the swing pass, right? On 3rd and 5.
Like an idiot doing whatever. I think that was a terrible.
And I heard him say in his press availability that he was mad because he hadn't touched the ball since the first quarter, and he didn't like the play call, I guess, or whatever. So I don't know if I doubt that. I mean, he might have been. You don't know what's going on the sideline. I think it was the right call. And like I said, if we're playing outdoors in Cleveland or we're playing in a place with some wind, I would understand not kicking there. But you're in a climate controlled environment where you should be able to kick a 45-yarder. So that's just my opinion.
So no game balls. Chubb, I mean, I guess if we're not giving one to Chubb.
Deserves one.
No
You can't give it to anyone else.
Nope, at all. Well, that does it for our game preview, Jay, man. What a disappointment. Just what a freaking blower, man. Has Freddi lost the locker room? This week we had a lot of interesting reports, a lot of fun conversations. What do you think, man? What's the state of the Browns right now?
I would have said 100% yes until yesterday when Jarvis and Odell came out. You know, I'm sure you've seen these basically Odell saying, I'm not going anywhere. I bought a house. I built a dog house. I thought that was pretty funny. Probably built a $10,000 custom dog house, right? But built a dog house. He's like, he bought a house, and actually I heard that he did some major renovations to the house. So he's just said, look, I'm going to be here next year. That's just what it is. Jarvis came out and supported. I mean, not surprised that Jarvis would come out and support the team. He just got named Man of the Year and he's starting Pro Bowler, right? Having the best season of his career, essentially. So I'm not surprised but it did sound like a different tone yesterday. Now there's some conspiracy theories. I actually said that yesterday. A couple people tweeted it, and then I heard Rizzo say it today that maybe Jarvis and Odell were told, hey, get through this. We're going to be some big changes in the offseason. Could be one of those. But I did find it interesting how much the tone changed yesterday.
Real quick. Tone, attitude, everything. Even their facial expressions.
It was definitely weird.
Yep. Maybe they were told Baker's going to lose 20 pounds.
And then I said, I think I said that I was making a joke about the Festivus, the old Seinfeld thing. When I said that maybe, they had an airing of the grievances of the group hug in the locker room or something. There was definitely a change in tone. There's no doubt about that.
I want to talk about Baker coming up in our narrative segment here after the jump, but we need to have a serious conversation about Baker Mayfield, Jeremy. And it needs to be honest. It needs to be we can't hold anything back because not only does his play, I think his play, probably cost us to lose this Cardinals game. I think if he plays better, I think we win that game despite Freddie Kitchens, which I don't think we can say for a lot of games this year. But how he presents himself after games is becoming a real concern for me. We'll talk about that momentarily. We're going to take a quick break, come back with our House of Hoodies game preview, narratives, and keys to the game. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, Jay, we're back. We have a game Sunday, game 2 against the Baltimore Ravens. Before this game happens, though, we talked briefly just a little bit ago about the Browns' playoff chances. ESPN has them as like 0.8% chance of making the playoffs. There's like 6 games that have to happen and have to break the way that we needed to for us to make the playoffs. I am just like completely baffled that we are not eliminated yet. I swear I felt we were eliminated after we lost to New England. We have to beat the Ravens. We have to beat the Bengals. The Steelers has to lose. They're the next 2 games. The Titans have to lose. That means
the Steelers have to lose at the Jets this week, which isn't crazy because, with Duck playing quarterback and they're at the Jets, and that'll be a Le'Veon Bell revenge game, right? So that wouldn't surprise me them to lose that game. It wouldn't surprise me for the Titans to lose to the Saints. Would it surprise you?
No.
No, especially with the banged up Derrick Henry, who was pulled from the game a couple times last week. And then the next week, the Steelers would have to lose to the Ravens, and the Titans would have to lose to the Texans. And that game's in Texas. Now, so the only thing really preventing us from going to the playoffs is us beating the Ravens. If we somehow magically beat the Ravens and the Patriots win this week, that means the Ravens would have to beat the Steelers in Week 17 to have home field. So if by some magical way we beat the Ravens in Cleveland Sunday, which I think the magical way would be to run the ball a ton, but I mean, I don't know that our defense will show up and try. So, but if by some magical way we beat the Ravens, that would make Week 18 pretty interesting if the Jets could beat the Steelers. But like we said, it's probably not going to happen. We're probably done. We'll probably be over Sunday at the stadium.
Well, it's a new week, 1-0, starting this week, 1-0, starting this week. Forget about the Arizona travesty. Forget about how much we suck. Forget about how much we blow. Forget about Freddi. Forget about all of that. Forget about how our defense is filled with names you've never heard of before. We have a game this week against the NFL best, no arguments at all, 12-2 Baltimore Ravens, going against the 6-8 Browns, not the best team in football. A ton of arguments everywhere, every week with everyone. The Browns, do you know the line to this game, Jeremy?
I have no clue. I have not looked.
This will be good.
I'm going to guess.
This will be a true test if you haven't looked, because I feel like you say that, but I always wondered because you've done really good this year.
I never look.
What's the line?
I'm going to say 10.5 Ravens.
It's Browns home underdogs, 10.5. Browns plus 10.5. You're pretty good at this.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of football in my life. I swear I never look. Maybe once or twice this year I've heard something online, but I've always told you that I heard that it was this.
Yeah.
But that just makes sense. That right at double digits, it's really a 14-point swing if you think about the 3 you get for being home, 13.5. So 10.5 makes a lot of sense to me. That seems about right. If I was a betting man, I'd probably bet the Ravens because I don't know that the Browns defense can stop them.
Have you ever put capital down on the Browns?
Oh yeah. My brother used to live in Vegas for 6 years. And he would go to the sports book Sunday mornings, and we won a lot of money at times, and then you lose money because it's human. There's always the human element in it, obviously. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to bet on games, but I don't really do it anymore. But when my brother lived out there, I did.
All right, listen to this. Baltimore first in the NFL in rushing, second in total offense. The Browns ranked 10th in rushing and 17th total offense. Disappointingly. Come on, Browns, pick it up. Baltimore, 12 Pro Bowlers announced this week. Browns have 2. We're not counting alternates. The last time these teams met way back in September feels like a different eon. The Browns smoked the Ravens in Baltimore 40-25, and really, honestly, it should have been 40-18.
They scored with a minute to go or 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, not even close. One of the most complete games of the Browns and young head coach Freddi Kitchens' career. Everyone's feeling great. We got the Baker arm flail. Baker was still doing the Africa drum dance before the game. I mean, not Africa, seal, whatever the freak that is. All that stopped. There's no fun in Cleveland. It is all just do your business and hope to save your job. At this point, it's a tale of two teams, Jeremy, 2 very different trajectories. One of these teams is a franchise quarterback and coaching staff firmly cemented their place in the NFL, and the other team is filled with wishes and what could be. Is a team that's unsettled and wavering. It's a very stark contrast between what was and what is now. And it's this really interesting, like almost like this bizarro reality where Baltimore is what the Browns could have been and what they could be. And the Browns are just like still trying to get this thing figured out. What can we expect on Sunday? What tell us what's going to happen. What do you expect, Jeremy?
I think they're going to get blown out, man. I hate to say that. I'll be there like I've been every home game for years and years here now. I think they're going to get blown out because I don't think they can stop the Ravens running game. As you saw, they're depleted. They're hurt. People have quit trying. I just think that Mark Ingram and Lamar Jackson are going to run all over them. It's going to be decent weather Sunday. It's going to be like 45 degrees and sunny at the game, so the weather won't be a factor. And I just think the Ravens are going to run all over them. The Browns have trouble guarding good tight ends anyway. The Ravens have 3 of them. They'll try to sell out to stop Lamar. That'll leave Andrews and those guys wide open over the middle of the field. I think the Browns will move the ball on them because, like I told you, the Browns have the talent to move the ball on anyone. They just can't finish drives at times. I think Freddi will probably get smart, and I think they'll run the ball more this week and next week. I think he kind of sees the writing on the wall there. So I think the Browns will score some points. I think the Ravens win the game, though. I think they're a machine right now. They're running the ball on everybody. Like I said, I've watched almost all the Ravens games. I've watched them get better and better as the year goes on. I've watched them dominate on offense. I saw Lamar Jackson throw 5 touchdowns the other week. Raise your hand if you had Lamar Jackson as the leading the league in touchdown passes this year, right? I mean, he leads the league in touchdown passes.
At the beginning of the season, Vegas had the plus minus touchdown passes with Lamar at 15.
And he's at, what, 33 right now?
That was what they at the beginning of the season. His over-under was 15 touchdown passes. 15.
And you can bet they want to get him to 40 just because that's a number. So they'll probably try to throw the ball when they get down close this week to get Lamar his numbers. So I just think the Browns are going to get thumped. I would love to be – there would never have been a time in my life that I would like to be wrong more than this week. But I think the Ravens are going to come in here and impose their will on the Browns.
Okay, hear me out, Jay. Yes,
okay.
That's conventionally what is probably going to happen. But hear me out. If John Dorsey sat down Baker, Jarvis, OBJ, and said, look, guys, no matter what happens, Freddi is out. And we saw this demeanor change this week. All of a sudden, they know that no matter how many games we win, he's out. Maybe, just maybe, I don't think they tried to suck to have him lose his job, but I'm pretty sure you had to be thinking about that. And maybe they thought, man, if we played well and win these games, he's going to be here next year. God, we don't want that. So maybe, Jay, all of a sudden on Sunday, the Browns are playing loose. Maybe they're having fun. Maybe all of a sudden they realize, man, it doesn't matter what happens. We are here next year, and he is not. Now all of a sudden, Baker's doing the all of a sudden, everyone's having fun. All of a sudden,
Phil Collins.
Thank you. Gosh, forgive me, everyone, for thinking that was Africa. Well, I'm all about Baby Yoda right now because I'm going to see Star Wars in like 5 hours, and it's anyway. So all of a sudden, the Browns are playing loose. All of a sudden, Baker's flinging it around. All of a sudden, it's just like, where have these Browns been all years since Baltimore? And Jeremy, I think there's a real possibility that we can come and surprise the Ravens, expecting maybe a little cakewalk. Because, I mean, if you read or seen anything about the Browns, you would just we're just a complete cluster F, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there is this really reality where we're playing loose, we're playing well, and we take the Ravens by surprise. We get up early again, 10 points. We get a stop, and all of a sudden we're up 17-0, 13-0, and they have to pass. And again, just like in Baltimore, and I would rather Lamar try to throw the ball to win. I know he has 40 touchdown passes. I think he's still 33. Overrated. I really do. But
geez, dude. He's going to be the NFL MVP, man.
Yeah, good for him. I think if the Ravens put the ball in Lamar's hands to throw, he cannot make every throw. Yes, he's incredible, and he runs, and he's going to get injured one day doing it, but he is not a traditional quarterback, and I do not trust the Ravens to come back having to throw under Lamar Jackson. I think the Browns come out. I think they're going to play loose. I think we're going to jump out early. We can. We are very good on the first couple drives, and I don't know, dude. I don't think it's as kind of written in stone as it is. I'm going to take Browns and the points. I think 10.5 is way too high. I think it's going to be close. That's what I think. I don't know. You think I'm crazy?
Okay. I do. But, I mean, it's the NFL it's the NFL like we talk about. I mean, anything can happen. Every game takes on a life of its own. I mean, the Ravens could come out and turn it over, fumble a couple snaps, and boom, you never ever know. But in my opinion, they're just playing so well right now. Lamar Jackson is, just the maestro of that offense right now. And I don't think the Browns defense is up for the task. So, I mean, I would love to be wrong, like I said. And of course, there's scenarios where the Browns could keep it closer, still a win. But I just don't see it happening.
All right, there are game preview narratives. If the Browns do lose and get blown out like you think, Jay, what are some narratives that we're going to start seeing on the Plain Dealer, on Twitter?
Well, I think the groans are going to be louder and louder that you have to change coaches at the end of the season. If they lose this week bad, if they get embarrassed again for the second week in a row, that Bengals game is going to actually mean a lot to Freddi, because if they go into Cincinnati, a team who's won one game, and they get embarrassed for a third straight week, and you're not seeing any improvement, that's always they say the key with the young coach is the team better week 16, week 17 than it was week 1. And if you get embarrassed the last 3 weeks, there's no way you can say that the team's better now than it was, that it's steadily improving. It's just not going to happen. And if you got a young team, they always talk a point to being a young team, and they're a young team. And if a young team should be getting better, they shouldn't be regressing as the season goes on. A coach putting in a new system, that system should be getting better and better as the weeks go on. The players should be learning it better. It shouldn't be like Todd Monken talked about today, them scrambling to get the snap off in time because they're not getting the plays in and people aren't lined up right. That's all stuff that points to coaching. So if they win this week, I would say that Freddi's job is probably safe. But if they get hammered, it's going to get louder. And that Bengals game next week is going to be a big game for them.
Let's have a real conversation about Baker Mayfield as the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. If we lose to Baltimore, which he's played incredibly well against really his whole career so far.
Yes.
If we lose to Baltimore, what is the narrative around Baker Mayfield as the Browns franchise quarterback?
It already has started to shift. There is a poll. Someone did a poll. One of the shows did a poll the other day, and it went from beginning of the year, they're like 95% of people were sure that he was the guy. And now it's down to like 50% of people, and that'll continue to fall. I mean, there's some of his warts are starting to show. So his size is affecting some throws. He can't stand upright in the pocket, and that's why he sails some throws. So there's some things that are being exposed. Now, part of that, I think, is they haven't tailored the system around his strengths like they should, which is, play action pass, move in the pocket, roll, bootleg type stuff. You see almost none of that in this offense. So some of that's on the coaches. Like we talk about Lamar Jackson, and obviously Baltimore went all in on tailoring an offense completely around him. I think that's what good coaches do. I don't think good coaches are married to an offensive system, and I wonder if Freddi is married to at least a conceptual system of how he wants the offense to look. So I don't think the coaches have done Baker any favors. I think you get one more year for sure of Baker to see what he's made of before you start moving on. But, I think it's legit to ask the question, though.
Do you have a problem with how he dresses after games, especially losses?
No, I don't really care. I made fun of him over that T-shirt thing just because it was funny. But, I don't really give a crap. If they were winning, nobody would care at all what he was wearing after the game, right? So I really don't care. Yes, I wish, as everybody wishes he'd carry himself a little differently probably at times. But, all that matters to me is the play on the field and wins and losses.
I think how you dress I think how you dress
for the job you want, right?
Is an indicator of a lot of other things in your life, of discipline, of character, of responsibility, of leadership, and being able to lead through adversity, through losses. When he dresses in a white T-shirt and a black hat, I don't care how much it costs. He's probably not wearing like freaking Fruit of the Loom white T-shirts.
Yeah.
But the look that it gives off is one of sloppiness, lack of attention to detail, lack of passion, right? You can't just be like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I'm not going to get dressed. No, you got to be an adult about this. Like, you don't care. And that's not what I want from a franchise quarterback. I don't want my daughter or anyone else who likes the Browns to see that's how you act when you lose. If you're going to be the quarterback of any team, then act like a grown-up. Dress like a professional. Don't come out in the same black hat and white T-shirt and look like a bum.
No, I get that. And he's the quarterback. He's the leader. He should. I get what you're saying, where he should at least be presentable. Don't come out with your nipples showing through a little white T-shirt.
We can't help that, man. He's gained 25 pounds, dude. We can't help that. Guys, those pepperoni nips, man. That's just.
Remember the old with Mike Golick and all those guys did the Nutrisystem.
Yeah, man.
We need Baker on Nutrisystem this offseason.
You know what this is setting up?
Did you see I shared the? Go ahead.
This is what is setting up. Baker being in the ESPN body issue in August, showing off his new physique and the new Browns, and how this year sucked and how this year's going to be great. And all of a sudden, it's going to be the Browns Super Bowl all over again. This is what it's setting up for. But whatever. Go ahead.
I said I shared the old Mike Tyson punch out with him running behind the bike. I said this needs to be Baker this offseason. He needs to get a personal trainer. That is funny because I got to give you all the credit. You were the first one to say something when he shared those workout videos, which were kind of lame. Yeah, you called it. You nailed
because that was the first time he worked out, and he wanted people to know, oh, I've been working out all off season. No, you haven't. That was the first time you did it, and you recorded it and you posted it.
and he could barely throw those ropes up.
Oh, gosh, man. Dude,
Contrast that with Kyler Murray and some of those other workout videos.
I texted that to my
funny.
best friend because after we talked, I was like, man, maybe I'm just overreacting. But man, no, they both agreed, dude. This dude put on some weight, not in a good way at all.
No.
So Baker, dude, I love you, man. I still want you to be our quarterback, but pull it together. Like, be a leader. Show that you care. Have attention to detail outside of the film room. Just be better. I'll pull LeBron. Just be better, right? Just be better.
Nobody cares. Work harder. Nobody cares. Work harder.
Right. Any other narratives, Jeremy?
The motto. No, that's all I got, Chase. I don't got anything else.
That is it for our House of Hoodies game preview and narratives. Your number one source for hockey-style NFL sweatshirts. Super comfortable, super warm, and super stylish. I absolutely love mine. Listen, I wear it so much. By the time it's clean and dry, I don't even have to put it away because I'm going to put it right back on. It's true. I never put it away because I'm always going to be wearing it. Use promo code ORANGER at checkout to receive 20% off your order. Check out their entire NFL selection online at thehouseofhoodies.com. Follow them on Twitter at HOHoodies. Jeremy, if the Browns want to shock the world and beat the Ravens, what are some keys to the game for Sunday, 1 p.m.?
Well, my number one key is going to be – the two keys are going to be – and it's cliche, but run the ball and stop the run. They have to slow down. They have to find a way, like you said, maybe jump out to a 14-0 lead, get a 2-touchdown lead, force Baltimore to have to throw the ball, which I still don't know if they will at that point because they run it so well. But do that and commit to the run. I think commit to the – look, we showed Nick Chubb rushed for, 167 yards, I believe, the first meeting. The 80-yard touchdown when they committed to him that game, 167 yards for Chubb. Commit to it. Commit to the run, start it early, base everything off the running game, run it down their throats, physically take control of the game early. Like you said, try to get a lead and force them to have to throw, but you're just going to have to find a way to slow down the running game if you got any chance of winning.
All right, Jeremy, here's the over-under for you. We'll set it at 15.5. Over-under cutaways to Santa's in the audience or Nick Chubb carries. What's going to be more?
Cutaway, hopefully Nick Chubb carries, hopefully 20. But there will definitely be some Santas in the crowd. I can assure you of that. There will be a handful of brown Santas, and they will. And you know who's on the game, right?
Yeah, Nance and Romo.
Nance and Romo, my guys. I'm almost sad I'm going to be there. I'll tape it and rewatch it, and I'll listen to what Romo has to say and what Nance. Because I respect what both of them had to say quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely go back, watch it, and hear what they had to say. But I just think if the Browns are going to pull up this upset, like you said, get out to the fast start, get a lead, make them at least make a decision on whether they're going to stick with the run game or throw it, and commit to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on the ground. That's what they have to do.
Yep. So my keys of the game would be get out to a lead early and force Lamar Jackson to make throws that he doesn't want to make. I think if we take away the middle of the field, force him to throw to the sideline. I don't know. That's just, we got to stop there. I mean, it sounds really, really simple. Stopping the run.
Right. But the problem is the reason teams can't do that is because you can't stop him from throwing the middle of the field because they run so much play action and they run the ball so much that your linebackers come up and then you throw it behind them to the tight ends. That's the game plan. And you're right. Everybody knows they're going to do it, but you have to pick your poison. Are you going to stay back and let him get 6-7 yards a crack? Or are you going to press the line and get beat behind you with talented tight ends? Yeah. It's tough. I mean, it's tough. Obviously, teams can't stop it.
Do you have any bold predictions? Let's jump here, wrap this bad boy up. Bold predictions for the game. Let's hear it.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson 5 touchdown passes.
Oh no!
Lamar Jackson throws 5 touchdown passes and the Browns lose. My Browns bold prediction, I'll say, is that Nick Chubb gets off again. I think they're going to commit. They see the blueprint for beating them from last time. They're going to commit to the run. And I don't think at this point he's in a place where I don't think he can be stopped. Maybe slowed down, but I don't think anybody can stop Nick Chubb if he gets the touches. Right now I think he's kind of in his zone. So I'm going to say Nick Chubb also has a big game, 150 yards and a touchdown.
This is the best I've felt about the Browns game in a while. And I don't know why. I feel like we've kind of been opposites the past couple weeks.
Okay.
I did not feel good about the Cards game. That seemed like a classic Freddi's the worst game. But I really, and I'm putting a lot of stock in the change of tune of OBJ and Jarvis and everybody. But I really feel like they're going to be loose. They're going to be the last home game. I think we're going to start to maybe see the beginning of a little bit of Browns pride. I think that's something that we haven't talked about is what does it mean to play for the Browns to actually in Cleveland, like Browns pride, I think we're going to start hearing that's a thing. And I think it's going to start against the best team in the NFL. They're going to come out. The Browns are going to want to make a statement too. This is just as important for us as it is for them. If we want to be taken seriously, to be like, well, man, they beat the Bills, they beat the Ravens twice. Like I think they're going to look to say, hey, this is another statement win. And I don't know.
I'd be the happiest man. I'd be the happiest man in Cleveland if that's right. I hope it's right. I do.
Well, shouts to our presenting sponsors, Alliant Health Center, and the place they've been with us all season as we get to the end here. Alliant Health Center is Northern Ohio's first chiropractic biophysics clinic. Their mission is simple: to help people in the Westlake and Beechwood areas achieve the best possible health and overall wellness. Also, shouts to the place. The place is a full-service fireplace and spa superstore. They've been in business 52 years, all family-owned and operated, transforming your backyard into the backyard of your dreams. When you think of fireplaces, hot tubs, grills, and patios, think the place. Also, shouts to the House of Hoodies for their game preview and online motor credit for 5 hot minutes. Jeremy, your final thoughts?
No, sir. Let's go Browns. Hey, I hope you're right, man. I would be the happiest man in America, like I said, to be wrong. I hope Chase is right. Chase is optimistic this week. I hope you're right. Let's go Browns. Here we go, Brownies, baby.
Hoo, hoo, hoo.
It's not an illusion. We're talking about the Super Bowl. Anything less is impossible. Bring it brown and orange for the USA.